Well, welcome into this special edition of the Horse Racing Show. Glad that you're with us on this live stream. I'm Kenny Rice, and we're located right now just outside of Belmont Park. It's a big day of racing. You can see it on NBC at 4:30 today, and it's all about the horse races on the grass today. This is the fall meet getting underway here at Belmont Park, and this is the conclusion of the inaugural Jockey Club Derby Invitational, part of the what they call the Turf Trinity. It's been off to a good start so far. It's been very interesting. Long shots have been coming through. The first of this Turf Trinity races was held at Belmont back in July, and Henley's Joy won it, paying $43.60. The second leg was held at Saratoga back August 4th. A Thread of Blue one, paying $28.40. So expect the unexpected has been the case here for these grass horses. And the most important thing, the winner of this Jockey Club Derby today is a win and you're in race. So if they win today, they automatically qualify to run in the Breeders' Cup Turf. And that is the key thing about this race today. They also have the Turf Tiara for the fillies running on the grass also today. So it's a big day of racing. Also some racing coming up at Kentucky Downs, down around Western Kentucky, just outside of Bowling Green near the Tennessee border. If you're familiar with that area, we'll also show that race on NBC today. And Stormy Liberal is trying to come back here for Peter Miller. Is a favorite to win that, probably the biggest favorite of the day of all the races. So that's the way it looks here. And thank you for tuning in here to the Horse Racing Show. Scott Hall, Mr. Thomas Kenny, sorry, and Ben Chaffins back in the studios there in KY. Guys, how are you doing?
We're doing great, Kenny. It's good to hear from you. It's a exciting day, man. Showing, it's getting to watch you today. It's 4:30, right?
Yeah, 4:30 Eastern time. In between the football games, people will probably flip by.
Yeah. No,
you can catch the race and miss anything I have to say in storyline, and then go back and watch some more football games.
No, actually, we got your back. We're gonna watch you, and if you get in trouble, tug at your ear twice, and we'll get there fast.
We'll make sure Mr. Thomas Kenny is on standby with research for you.
That's right.
Okay. That'll be perfect, especially as to me, this stuff is fun when you come into a deal where it's a first-year event. The biggest thing was, what are you going to do with, there's not a whole lot of races out there. And this is a $1 million race, the highlight race today, the Jockey Club Derby Invitational. There's not a whole lot of $1 million turf races out there. Yeah, there's some. I know that. And leading up to the Breeders' Cup. So you got a chance to run for $1 million today. I think one of the best lines is Kira McLaughlin has a Thread of Blue, who had never raced at the distance at Saratoga, the mile and 3/16, but he raced and he won. And so they asked him, why are you going to try this now today at 1.5 miles? And he said, well, there's 1 million reasons. You got $1 million purse, 600,000 coming to the winner. So yeah, that's an opportunity plus the chance to go on. And they structured this. And you remember Martin Panza was on the show from the New York Racing Association, who's just one of the most innovative guys in the business. He's the one that created this series. He saw that there's a need out there. What's going to happen? What are you going to do with these horses out there? There's these turf horses. There's not a lot of great races leading up for them,
right?
For the fillies or the colts. And he created this series. And so far, this is the way it's gotten off to a pretty interesting start when you get all these upsets coming in. And, you got horses coming in from overseas as well. You got a couple of Irish breds and a French bred horse in it. So, it makes it interesting. I just think it's another element that makes it fun for the fans.
Right. How's the turnout with the attention drawn, you guys covering this? Because is this the first time that this meet's been covered?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I think that, but let's be honest, as we've talked about before, and this is a horse racing show and we really enjoy the sport. But I think everybody's a little realistic too. And, we all got to be realistic that, there's pretty good football games coming up. I think we fit in between most of the big games today. I really do.
Yeah.
So, and again, you can flip on and watch, the 2.5 minutes of a race and come right back.
Heck yeah.
And that's the way I look at it. I hope that everybody has a good time with doing that. But it is, it is exciting, Scott, is when you come into an event like this and you have, you've got name trainers in this, Chad Brown, Steve Asmussen, Mike Maker, Todd Pletcher, Kieran McLaughlin. I mentioned him. Castellano, Velasquez, Pratt, Lescano, Saez,
Yeah.
the big riders are here too,
Heck
as
yeah.
they usually are for that. So, at this point, this is a big day for racing, with all these things that are on the line today.
Right. Yeah. We were talking earlier. We're watching Todd Pletcher close today because it seems like he races everywhere now.
Yeah, he does, and Pletcher does have more emphasis on grass races. I mean, this wouldn't be like his specialty either, probably.
Right.
But you don't see Bob Baffert and Wayne Lucas, for example. That's just not what they gear themselves for. Chad Brown, who has won one of the Triple Crowns with Cloud Computing, the Preakness, a couple of years ago, he is more like his mentor Bobby Frankel. This is exactly what he's geared for, is to get horses ready for the grass, and some just simply do better than others. But what's interesting about this is Chad hasn't won one of these yet. I know it's only the third race, but the talk going in was that he would dominate it, because Chad Brown seems to win every major event out there that's run on the grass. So he might be the favorite with Digital Age, by the way, of the big race today.
Okay.
So Kenny, with since you're in New York and we did have Martin on the show, have you figured out your pick six yet?
No, no, not at all. How's that doing? How am I going with that? No, we and I haven't had a chance to catch up with him in person up here yet either. So I'm looking forward to seeing some people. This is the first time I've been here since Sir Winston pulled the upset at Belmont back in June. So this is the first time I've been back up to Belmont since that day. So, it's a big track. It's a very empty looking track when you don't have, in honesty, the Triple Crown race. It's so big that you can put 20,000 people in here, and it doesn't look like it's that full. Imagine a football stadium. If you know of a football stadium that seats like 60, 80,000 people, and you put 20, 25,000, that's not a bad crowd.
No.
But then again, you're going to say, well, nobody's here, because that's the way it looks.
That's right.
Is there a different buzz going on since this is a turf race and not a dirt race?
Well, I tell you, Ben, if they can bet on it, everybody gets excited. So that's for the horse fans, and I imagine that's who's tuning in to right now to listen to this stream. It's a big day, because you'll either be somewhere off track betting this race if you're not actually out here at the track, and you'll be curious about watching this race. Not just this race, but the entire race day. For example, again, I mentioned like Stormy Liberal is running down at Kentucky Downs. He's a two-time Breeders' Cup Turf Sprint winner. So that's just a serious horse for trainer Peter Miller, and he's really just not had a lot of luck this year. He was third over in Dubai back in March, and races like that, to me, sometimes when you travel over there, that takes a lot out of a horse, and he's not looked quite like the champ that he is. But then that said, he's still very good, and it'll be real curious. I think a lot of people are wanting to see how he'll do for this race, and then as well as curious how the horses will do for the other races, because this is, if you like the NCAA tournament, you guys like the NCAA basketball tournament?
Oh yeah.
I think Thomas Kenny wins the pool every year.
Can't defeat the researcher.
Can't beat the researcher. But it's kind of like that. You come into this deal, and if you win today, you could be the long shot. But if you win today, you're in the Breeders' Cup. It's like winning the conference tournament when you're not supposed to. You still get to go to the big dance. So that's why I like the win and end races that we're going to have today. Is you'll get an idea of who's, at least some of the horses, going to be in the Breeders' Cup.
How many Breeders' Cup spots are up for grab today?
Right now we've got, let's see, that's a good question. Of course, the main one is the Jockey Club is on the line, and this is the win and end series. So we got 4 spots on the line today. And, that's, again, this is like watching, it's like being in March and watching, when you flip around and watch all those conference finals, and you see, hey, look who gets to go. Hey, look who gets to go. Look who gets to go. And that'll be the way it is today. And, Thomas, what's interesting too about all this is that after these races today, there's only 3 other races out there for the horses that are grass specialists, turf specialists. There's only 3 more races out there for them. in the win and in, guaranteed. So, time is kind of the essence now. We're less than 2 months away from going to Santa Anita for the Breeders' Cup.
Yeah, that's
And
amazing.
you know what? Everybody likes that. I mean, I think that's the intrigue about sports, no matter what sport you like. Um, the unexpected. I mean, isn't that kind of what we, always enjoy, the unexpected?
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah.
When it's like an exciting thing, it's not the thing that scares you or upsets you or hurts you, but it's the thing that keeps you, when it's that kind of surprise, like, wow, didn't see that, ain't that something?
Right.
I think everybody likes that, particularly in sports. Most of us, I've reached that point. When I grew up as a kid, I was a Cleveland Browns fan, and I've kind of come back to them, and maybe because they're getting a little better. But when they moved away, I kind of lost a little interest. But outside of when I quit rooting for them so much, I just kind of rooted for the new teams, the underdogs. So there's people in here that fans are going to look for, these long shots, I believe, that they're hoping may step up and make them some money today. That's the kind of horse racing underdog rooting, is look for that 10-1 shot that might come in.
Yeah.
Got any horses you're looking at in particular?
Yeah, Thomas, I think the Spanish Mission, he's coming in from England. David Simcock trains him. Jamie Spencer rides him. Obviously European horses, more emphasis on Europe. They don't race on the dirt over there. So it is about grass racing for them. And that's one of the things about this series that's making it more international. As the Breeders' Cup tries to be more international every year, they always have been, but they try to increase that. You get a horse like that coming over here, who's a nice looking horse, and I think will factor in. And you got a good challenge there with a Thread of Blue, who was an upset winner, and Digital Age of Chad Brown's horse, who I still think is a good horse, and could easily win this. And then a horse that's just coming out of Canada. He raced there in Canada, called Tone Broke. So those are, 4 horses in this race that I think are fun horses to look at. Maybe there's somebody outside that that'll come through for a bigger price. Like I say, we've had 2 good size upsets in the first 2 races. But again, that shows you a bit of the international field and the interest of coming in here and trying to get this one win so they can guarantee that they'll be in the Breeders' Cup turf. They still might make it, but you would know for sure, and it'd be a lot easier to breathe, I think, for all the owners involved and the trainers, if they knew for sure that their horse was on the way to the Breeders' Cup at the end of this day.
Yeah, there's a lot to be said for guarantees in a sport like this.
Yeah, because as we know, there's no guarantees in horse racing. The odds are simply this. If you win 1 out of 3 times as a gambler, if you're hitting 33%, because the favorite will win 33%. It's a lot like baseball. It's a lot like James McCann, Thomas's friend, who's all-star catcher for the White Sox. It's a tough sport. Scott, you know it. Ben, you know it. It's a tough sport, baseball. And, guys that hit 300 are considered all-stars. If a favorite wins a third of the races, they're considered all-stars. If a trainer can win like 1 out of 4 races, they're got Hall of Fame credentials. That's how tough it is in horse racing. And, that's why you get, if not giant surprises, certainly surprises every week. Every week you can go there and you just know this horse is going to win, or this horse is the best. I thought Digital Age by now might be coming in here trying for the Triple Crown, to be honest, when I first saw the series started. But he's not. He's trying instead to get his first win. So that's what, again, makes it fun.
Right.
You said this feels a little bit more international for the turf racing here. Do you think that the purse size has something to do with that?
Yeah, exactly. As with anything in life, when you want to get to the root of it all, follow the money. And the money is here. I mean, $1 million turf race. There are $1 million turf races out there, like I said earlier, but there's not that many. Certainly not many before you get to the Breeders' Cup. So with that kind of money on the line, and a chance to qualify for the Breeders' Cup, that's 2 great enticements right there. And then, there's a pride factor as well. There's always the pride factor. You go into the Breeders' Cup and the international field, naturally the Europeans want to show, hey, we belong here. We know more about grass horse racing than Americans ever will. And then vice versa. Hey, no, wait a minute. We got Chad Brown now. We got one of the best in the world that happens to be based in America training grass horses. Or we've got Kieran McLaughlin coming up with a good horse. Something along those lines. I think it's just like anybody else. It's just like, pick your rivalry out there, Texas, Oklahoma, or whatever the situation. It's all about rivalry, and it's all about having some fun with it along the way, and generally trying to see who is actually the best. And we'll have a good idea. The winner of this race, by the way, is not going to be the best grass horse. These are good horses, but they're not the best grass horses out there right now. But I think they're very good horses, and the winner will certainly deserve to go to the Breeders' Cup.
It's exciting, and I'm glad we get to watch it today. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I shaved and showered and everything.
Hey, good. Yeah, that's right.
I'm taking this stuff seriously today, boys. I'm cleaned up, unlike I do for our show. I'm all cleaned up and ready to go in.
Yeah.
And hey, by the way, the race, the way they shaped this up too, it's like the Triple Crown Series for the 3-year-olds. It's 1.25 miles, 1 3/16, and 1.5 miles. So they've done the other two. So today is a 1.5 mile race, and I think that too is that's going to be Breeders' Cup turf distance.
Right.
So you'll get that 1.5 mile race. So that's important there. That's important. And then I don't want to overlook the fillies that are running in the it's the Belmont Oaks is the Turf Tierra final leg, the 3-year-old fillies. And it started again with this whole series, geared to focusing on these horses that run on the grass. That's their specialty. And there's a horse that's coming in from California today for Richard Baltus, the trainer. Lady Prancelot, if nothing else, has a great name, and it's kind of I think, an interesting horse to watch in here, just to see how they do. And then a couple of horses are coming again from overseas, so it gets back to there's money on the line, there's a chance to go to the Breeders' Cup stuff on the line, and that makes it a day of interest for everyone. And I'm looking forward to it, and I hope people tune in at 4:30 today on NBC and catch some of the action. And then next week we're going to be on location. Early plug. We're going to be at Keeneland. We're taping the show, the horse racing show, on location next week at Keeneland for the sales. Is that still right, Scott?
That's still right. That's the plan so far.
I mean, they haven't
great.
banned us. We're not banned from the grounds or anything, so that's good.
No, I think we cleared all that up.
All 4 of us got cleared?
All 4 of us got cleared. Yeah.
Or like Thomas, Ben, and you are cleared, and I just have to stay home and call in.
Right.
We'll carry a cutout of you around.
Yeah. Hey, is it next week also? We can't say a whole lot yet, but we starting next week, we are going to have some really cool prizes for our fans. I'll say that much.
Yeah. And so let's just tell you this then. If you're listening to the live stream, then we thank you. And, of course, you must be interested. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Horse Racing Show, and follow us on Facebook. So that'll give you an indication, because you'll get more information coming up through these outlets about these prizes that are up for grabs. That's Unfortunately, right. I'm ineligible to win, or there's a couple of them I'd go for.
Oh, yeah. I think we all would.
Yeah, I got express orders not to let you anywhere near some of this stuff.
Well, Thomas, my feelings were a little hurt the other day when I came in and saw the armed guard. I thought that was a little exaggerated, but you guys know best, so I don't. I trust your judgments.
Well, thank you, Kenny.
But it should be, this will be a good day of racing. Again, I think this is really a race fan kind of day of racing. Get an idea of some of the better grass horses out there, those that may be in that second tier. We talked this week. If you haven't had a chance, well, be sure we had Don Little Jr. on the show this week, Centennial Farms. And we also had Arthur Hancock, who's the breeder of Bricks and Mortar, who's the best grass horse out there anywhere, I think. And could be horse of the year. Certainly is going to be a contender all the way through the rest of the season for Horse of the Year honors. So we don't want to underplay that a little bit, how good he is. But this will give you an idea of some other good ones to watch out there. And if you're interested, especially down the road, and thinking about, when you start putting your trifectas and superfectas and all this together, this will give you a good look at these horses. Some of them I think that, could factor in the Breeders' Cup, not just making it there, but, there's 2 or 3 good horses in here that, are capable of a surprise, but certainly are capable of being on the board in the biggest race coming up, the Breeders' Cup Turf later on. And again, you're going to see one of the better sprinters, turf sprinters that we've seen in a long time, and just see if he's indeed ready to roll again. Stormy Liberal. That'll be the race out at Kentucky Downs. Have you guys been down to Kentucky Downs, by the way?
I have not.
I have not.
Never have been.
It's a European kind of course. It's got kind of like a sweeping turn, more sweeping than, the standard oval.
Mhm.
And it's an undulating, where suddenly you kind of see the horses appear. You kind of go down, then they come back up the little, I don't want, not like a hill, but, if you watch any European races, sometimes you see where they kind of go down a little dip and then they come right back up.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that. So it's kind of an interesting track that they would build in Southwest Kentucky, a European style track. But grass horses like it, trainers like it, and I think it's you'll enjoy watching some of that race anyway, to see a good horse to start with, as well as get a look at the way that track's laid out. It's interesting to me. I mean, the first time I saw it, I was very impressed.
Yeah. No, we'll have to check that out. That sounds awesome.
So
And Belmont Park is not the same Belmont Park that I left, guys, because they're clearing the grounds to make room for the New York Islanders. They will be playing, their hockey season will be in 21-22, I believe, is when they have the date set to start. But where we used to be, set up in the NBC TV compound lot, it's all been cleared out now, because this track is if you're familiar with the track, right as you turn for home, say that, when you come that big sweeping turn with just over a quarter of a mile to go, if you can go straight out from there, and right there where the Long Island Railroad drops off at the track, drops off fans at the track, that's where they're building the new hockey arena. And so they're going to have a hockey arena there. I think maybe even like a shopping complex, a hotel eventually. It's going to be a whole new look here for the way the sports setting out here on Long Island. Because right now where I'm staying, I'm actually staying just across the Nassau County line. I can look at the old Nassau County Coliseum, where the Islanders still play some home games, and where they played for many years. And then they'll be moving into that brand spanking new deal coming up in a couple of years. So it's already underway. And I dropped the first puck. I'm claiming that I dropped the first puck there. Okay.
Okay, you
Okay.
got it.
And it's on videotape. It was this year at the Belmont on
Yeah.
NBC, and I was showing them where they were going to build it and how everything was building up. And this is going to be where they're going to have it. And I said it's going to be about right here. And I had a hockey puck, and I dropped it in obviously an empty parking lot.
Nice.
But I'll claim I dropped the first puck.
Oh, good.
Hey,
we got it on
that
record.
counts.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
We'll back you up.
That's right. You
Thank
got
you.
witnesses.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So, Kenny, do you think anyone's going to be using geometry out there today? I know we talked about that this week. So
I want to tell you, and thank you for the responses for some people who sent in about that. They enjoyed the Arthur Hancock interview, and I've had 3 or 4 people tell me up here just in the last day that I got in that they heard the interviews and they listened to the show or watch it, which we appreciate. But they had never heard the Arthur Hancock 1982, where he got his buddy to measure it off using geometry to figure out just how many lengths back that Gato del Sol would be coming out of gate 18. And of course, Gato del Sol was the first Kentucky Derby winner from the auxiliary gate, the first one that happened in 1982. And nobody could believe it was 2.4 feet. I believe, is that right? The difference?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, they found it fascinating. Then everybody kind of started measuring. We were having dinner last night and they were measuring it out, across the table there. Yeah, I guess that would be right if you go at this angle. So, that's what I like. I like those stories. I think those stories make it interesting. Obviously big winners coming in, get everybody excited about betting it. But I think that the human interest story is still very important. And that's what we try to do on this show each week.
You had any time to yourself up in New York State, or has it been all work from hitting the ground running?
No, unlike when Thomas Kenny rolls into New York and parties for like 3 or 4 days. I don't. I got to work. I can't just come up here and run around. we had a nice dinner last night out on the island with, let's see, Eddie Olczyk and who's going to be on the show with me again, and Amy Zimmerman, one of the producers, and Billy Matthews, the lead producer, who've all been on the show.
All been on
All
our show.
friends of the
Yeah,
show.
that's all great.
And Ahmed Fareed will be hosting the show today, and Brittany Urton and I will be out running around grabbing interviews and things. And both of them have also been on the show.
Yeah,
That's
And,
right.
Ahmed was very nice. He listened to this week's show. I think he might listen more than the rest of it. I'm going to start taking notes. Who listens the most? That's who gets to come back.
Yeah, that's a great team you got put together there today.
Yeah, it really is.
I'm
I mean,
telling
it's a very good NBC team. It is top to bottom. And and then, of course, three more races, and then heck, it's the Breeders' Cup, guys. I mean, it's not that far away.
know.
The first
No,
weekend of
it's coming.
November.
Looking forward
So,
to it.
yeah, I mean, it's so now we're less than a month away. Like I say, after today for grass horses, there's 3 more tries to get into a Breeders' Cup to qualify for the Breeders' Cup.
Right.
And then it's time to go. And there's not a whole lot of opportunities left for everybody else. And one of the things we're going to talk about on the show today too is, the Breeders' Cup Classic, because it's like the heavyweight boxing ranks. The Classic winner is generally going to be considered the front runner, for the Horse of the Year. Unless you're like Justify last year that won the Triple Crown already and did not race anymore and was Horse of the Year, but you win a Triple Crown, only 13 have done that.
Yeah, it's hard to debate that.
Yeah, that was a pretty tough debate. But there was a little bit, but there was, I thought, like you said, Tom, I thought it was hard to debate. And, but like bricks and mortar, there's a filly named Midnight Bijou that's really good this year, but they won't be in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So, right now you've got Mackenzie, the Bob Baffert trained horse, and it'll really be curious in the next few weeks coming up what's going on with the Maximum Security. When will Code of Honor run again? One of these horses step up because it's still wide open kind of after Mackenzie, who is the best of the classic Breeders' Cup Classic runners. So that I think that'll be fun to debate today. It'll be I hope it's a friendly debate. I hate it when, Matt Bernier is also on the show. He's been on with us before. So, hopefully it doesn't turn to blows. Don't you hate it when fight breaks out at a horse race? You know that.
Oh, no, man.
Well,
As long as the horses don't get involved.
That's right.
that's right.
Then it gets ugly.
Yeah. That's,
Then it gets ugly. You just don't want to see that. You hate it when a horse breaks bad. You just hate that.
Oh, yeah.
But that's it, guys. I think it'll be a fun show, and I think that it'll be that. I just love this. I always love to go into a win and you're in, because you do get surprises, and I just think that's why I like basketball is the sport I like so much. Is because of you can have that. You can have those teams that get hot at the right time and they make the tournament. They may not win the tournament, but the fact they got there is still something. And I think that's exactly what is on the line today for these horses. I don't think any horse in this race probably is going to go on and win one of the Breeders' Cup races. Probably not. But just the fact that they're going to get a shot. And then once they get in there, who knows for sure? And that's what makes it interesting and fun to debate. And I hope that, the fans will have a chance to tune in between all the games, because I don't think LSU and Texas is till later tonight. That's the game I'm most interested in today. That in Kentucky. Thomas, I think are you going to the game? Ben and Scott, are y'all going to the game tonight back home?
Heck yeah.
Watch the Cats, Eastern Michigan.
I'm actually going with my father tonight.
Well, that'd be good, man. You and Tom have a good time. I tell you, Kentucky could win the Mid-American Conference if they win this today, I believe.
Telling you.
They'll be 2-0 in the MAC.
They'll be 2-0 in the MAC.
Yeah. No, I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him. Yeah, I tell you, because Mark Stoops is such a good guy and a good friend, and he's been on the show, so that's why,
Yeah. Yeah. And it should be a great night there, man. It's nice and cool. It's cooling down here, and I think it's gonna be a good night for football.
it's the perfect day out there for it.
That's right.
Yeah, yeah. And we're at the time of the year. I was talking to Eddie Olczyk, the exhibition season for hockey starting in a week or so. They jump right into exhibition.
I know.
And just talking about, heck, baseball's, we're not even getting close to the World Series, it seems, and all this is coming at once. So this is a busy time. This is where horse racing has trouble at times, guys, finding its niche, like we're hoping today, probably being on network TV. You'll probably get maybe 3.5 million viewers, maybe 4. because it's on NBC as opposed to being on the cable network outlet. But you know, you got a lot to compete with, and that's you know, with football out there, that's college football. College pro football is still the most bet things in Las Vegas, and probably among illegal bookies everywhere. The biggest thing bet is college and pro football. So you know, that's still the king out there as far as the wagering world. But you know, I'm sure they'll have, and that's a good thing. Most of these tracks know it, so you'll be able to watch a game probably anywhere you are at Belmont today. They'll have games up there to keep up with.
Right.
Well, it's like you said, Kenny. NBC picked a pretty good time slot for all this. You know, 4:30, being pretty much in between most of the bigger games today.
Yeah, I think so. You know, and that's you know, kind of the hope is that people will tune in. And again, it's not just like it's just another day of racing. You know, there's things that matter that are in these races that we're doing today, and I think that's probably going to play out better than anything. Is again, you know, the win and you're in. I mean, that's, to me, that's all what it's all about today. This is playoffs. This is the horse racing playoffs still underway today.
That's right.
Wow.
Well, Kenny, thank you so much for your time today. We'll let you get back to it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I look forward to getting back and seeing you all next week, and going to brush my hair and teeth and put a tie on and get ready to go to work here in a few minutes.
And don't forget a big smile.
And a big smile just for you guys.
That's right. All right.
Thank you, guys. Thomas, thank you. Ben, thank you. Scott, as always, man, thanks for keeping us all together. And I'm Kenny Rice. Thank you all for listening to this live stream. Hopefully you'll tune into NBC tonight, and be sure to watch our show and listen to our show again next week. The Horse Racing Show.